Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Produce Buzzers podcast. We're so happy that you've joined us today, and I think you will be too after the show is over. You will have learned a lot about fresh fruits and vegetables, how to prepare them, what their nutritional value is, all about their history and origin. We hope you'll find it interesting, and we hope it inspires you to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, not only to improve your health, but to enjoy their deliciousness while you do so. First of all, I'm Edwin Stepp. I'm the executive editor of Produce Buzz, and we're joined again, as usual, by Teresa Nolan, the president and founder of Produce Buzz, and a longtime professional in the produce business. She also happens to be my sister. We're also joined by Rick Stepp. He's a contributor to Produce Buzz, and he is my brother. We are all passionate about fresh fruits and vegetables, having grown up in the produce business with my dad having a big produce business for many years. We worked together in it. And we are joined by the lovely Cynthia Benedetto, who is also a longtime professional in the produce industry and has worked with us. So she's like a sister, a family member. On today's Produce Buzzers podcast, Rick is going to tell us all about mangoes, such a sweet and delicious fruit. Cynthia is going to talk to us today about pea tendrils and pea shoots. And we also have our mystery fruit or vegetable quiz challenge for this episode. And you can stay tuned and play along, see if you can guess what that mystery fruit or veggie will be today from the clues that I will give. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get started. I'm eager to hear all about mangoes, one of my favorite fruits. So Rick, what have you learned about mangoes and what are you going to teach?
Yeah, like Edwin mentioned, mangoes are one of my favorite fruits as well. And it kind of takes me back to in the 1980s. We had a produce market in Charlotte. Edwin and I worked together. And when we opened this produce market, we didn't realize that right across the street was the Hindu temple for a lot of the Indian people who lived in the area. They were engineers with Duke Power, etc. And they had about 600 members there, including the children. And so the first Sunday we were open, they met on Sundays. All of a sudden, all these Indian people started coming into the market and buying things. And it was just like opening up a whole new world for us because they started asking for Indian foods and we started finding them. But mango is a staple in India. And that's something that at that time they couldn't get good mangoes in Charlotte. And so we worked with them to bring in the type of mangoes they wanted, and they would order like 500 boxes for the whole congregation, and we bring in 500 boxes, and they would come and pick them up. And their favorite variety was the Kent variety, and it still is one of the best varieties you can find in the store. In fact, they're in season right now. I would venture to say that if you shop at a club store like a Costco or a BJ's or a Sam's Club, that you could probably find some Kent variety mangoes in the store right now.
Is that the most common variety, the reddish or yellow big mango, or is it, what is it?
Well, the Kent variety is actually more of a green yellow color.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's
the most popular variety of mango in the world is the Tommy Atkins variety. And I'll be talking about that here in a minute.
Okay.
But as most people know, a mango is an edible stone fruit produced by a tropical tree, which is believed to have originated in the region between Bangladesh and northeastern India. Mangoes have been cultivated in South Asia and Southeast Asia since ancient times, resulting in two distinct types of modern mango cultivars. One is the Indian type, and the other is the Southeast Asian type. Worldwide, there are several hundred cultivars of mango. Depending on the cultivar, mango fruit varies in size, shape, sweetness, skin color, and flesh color, which may be pale yellow, gold, green, or orange. The mango is the national fruit of India. It's also the national fruit of Pakistan and the Philippines. The mango tree is the national tree of Bangladesh.
Wow.
And I might just add in, mangoes are the most consumed fruit in the world.
Really?
Not in the United States, but worldwide it is. And the reason is they grow wild all around the equator, almost everywhere in the southern hemisphere, or not in the southern hemisphere, but tropical and subtropical regions close to the equator. They grow all around the world, and they grow wild. Once I was in Hawaii, and we were looking around in the woods, and I started smelling this familiar smell, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And so I was investigating, looking around, and I looked down, and it was rotting mangoes. They have a very distinct smell.
So wait a minute. Why are rotting mangoes familiar? Was it because those Indians didn't pick up those 500 boxes?
Exactly. There's always a bad piece of fruit. You probably still remember the smell of rotten tomatoes.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Or rotten cabbages. Cabbage fields.
Oh, yeah, that's worse. That's terrible.
Yeah, so I started looking around, and they had fallen off the trees, but there were some that were still good, that were very ripe. They had a few black spots. So I picked them up and took them back to the hotel, and we cut them up, and they were delicious. But because of the fact that they grow wild, a lot of people survive off of them.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Foreign countries.
Yeah. Maybe some gorillas and chimps and monkeys too, huh? Do they eat them?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
So when you said it's the most consumed fruit, it's not just humans, probably.
Right. Like we discussed in a previous podcast, they're not commercially the most commercially grown fruit, but when you figure how many people eat them worldwide, it wins hands down.
Yeah, that's interesting, and something I'd never thought about. So that's great.
But from tropical Asia, mangoes were introduced to East Africa by Arab and Persian traders in the 9th to 10th centuries. And it was spread further into other areas around the world during the colonial era. They were introduced in Brazil from the 16th to the 17th centuries. And from Brazil, they spread northwards to the Caribbean and eastern Mexico by the mid to late 18th century. Mangoes were introduced to Florida by 1833. They are grown in most tropical and subtropical climates, such as California, Coachella Valley, which I was not aware that California grew mangoes, but they do.
I didn't realize that either. It's so dry, you think it'd be too dry, but I guess they pump the water into them.
Yeah, in Coachella, they have a lot of water for irrigation.
That's true. There's a huge aquifer there.
Yeah. Mango trees grow up to 130 feet tall with a crown radius up to 50 feet. The trees are long-lived, as some specimens still fruit after 300 years.
Wow.
India produces 45% of the world's mangoes. They consume most of them within India. Only 1% are exported. So they're growing almost half of the mangoes in the world, but they're consumed in country.
Interesting.
And other leading countries only produce about 4% each of the world's mangoes. They are Indonesia, China, Mexico, Pakistan, and Brazil. The U.S. doesn't even rank in there. But it doesn't surprise me that Mexico ranks that highly. Yeah. Because most of the mangoes that we get here in the United States are from Mexico.
And that's the Tommy Atkins as well?
Yes. That's a big variety in Mexico, Tommy Atkins. Yeah.
That's the one I buy most. No, I really like those.
Have you tried the Kent variety?
I think maybe I probably did when we had them at the fruit stands. I haven't seen them in a long time, but I remember when you mentioned the color of them, and I'm sure I ate them there because I liked the mangoes. The other one that I see and really like, but they're much smaller. I forget the name of them. I think they're yellow though.
The Tofo?
Yeah,
they call them Their one brand calls them champagne
Yeah, and somebody else has a brand name that has the word honey in it, I think, or something.
Yeah, and those are the Atulfo, I think.
Right. Yeah, those are really good, but they're
Yeah.
so small. And this is the thing with mangoes. I love them, and I just bought two the other day, and they sat in the fridge because I was just like, I didn't have the energy to slice them and get it, slice the fruit up. I had to wait till I was, had enough energy to tackle them. And, I'm thinking those smaller ones are so delicious, but you get so much less fruit for the work.
Why? It's a lot of work.
Have you ever tried slicing them with a drinking glass?
I've seen that hack online. I've never tried it.
It's really easy. You just cut them along the seed into sections.
Yeah.
And then you take the sections and you put the top of the glass in between the skin and the flesh.
Okay.
Just push it down and it peels it off, and then the good part of the mango falls in the glass, and then
it takes it off of this. That's to get the peel off.
Yeah, and it peels it really well, because if you try to do it with a knife or whatever, you'll sometimes waste it. But
you know what I use to peel my mangoes?
Yeah,
a potato peeler.
Okay.
And that works really well. And I even try to see if I can do it in get one big peel out of it.
That makes sense.
I'm not able to do it, but you need a really good sharp potato peeler. Mm-hmm. Don't try to do it with a cheap one. I've tried to do it with those, and it's useless. But if you have a really good sharp potato peeler, that will get the peeling off. But the hardest work is getting them off the seed, and I'm such obsessive about not wasting one little tiny bit of the fruit that
you let it rot in the refrigerator before
I
can't waste any of it.
I don't do that. I didn't do that's fine.
Well, what you're supposed to do is, after you peel it off of the seed, is you're supposed to then eat the rest of the flesh off of the seed.
Just eat it off the seed. Yeah. Well, I liked it, and the last time Teresa was here, I cut up some mangoes and mix them with. I like to cut them up, cube them and put them with pineapple. I like to mix bananas in with it too, but I don't put the bananas in until I'm ready to eat it, because the bananas turn color. But that's me.
Yeah. Make a mango salsa. That's really great.
Oh yeah.
Now, of course, I know Edwin's fussy about peeling it off with the potato peeler, but I just cut along the side of the seed on each side. Mm-hmm. And then you've got that little bowl of mango, and I slice it horizontally and vertically. And then you just pull, kind of turn the peel wrong side out, and the little pieces stick up.
Sure.
And you just scrape them off with a knife. And I think that's the way a lot of the mango companies advertise that you should cut them. But slice it up or dice it up, and then throw it in with some onion and lemon juice and cilantro. It makes a great salsa. It's really good on fish.
Mm-hmm.
If you sit that way. In
fact, today we have a mango blueberry salsa recipe, so we can use it. Blueberries with my mangoes.
What's in your salsa? Your blueberry mango.
Ingredients: 1 mango, 1 medium red pepper, 1 to 3 jalapeno peppers, 3 spring onions. You can use ramps if you would like. 1 cup of fresh blueberries, a 1/4 cup of packed fresh cilantro, 1 tablespoon of fresh lime juice, and a pinch of kosher salt is optional.
Yeah, great.
Typical salsa, just using mangoes and blueberries. Mangoes are really high in vitamin A and beta carotene. The beta carotene converts vitamin A. They have about 7% of your daily allowance of vitamin A and 6% of your daily allowance of beta carotene. They've got B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, and B9 vitamins. 44% of your daily requirement of vitamin C. And then they have vitamin E, vitamin K, magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, potassium, and zinc and selenium. So they are very nutritious.
Yeah, I'm glad to know that, because I love them so much. Well, any more about mangoes, Rick?
I think that's probably it. It's peak season right now, even though they're available year round, of course.
Right.
Mexico has them available year round, but the better, sweeter varieties are kind of concurrent with the peach season, from May through September, maybe. And then
Okay.
that's when you get the best ones.
Right. And I notice they're on sale a lot right now. I've seen them on sale. So, okay. Well, thanks, Rick. That was very interesting. And I love mangoes even more now. So, well, it's time for our Produce Buzzers segment, the Veggie of the Week. And this week it's going to be presented by the lovely Cynthia Benedetto. Cynthia, what is our Veggie of the Week?
I am on a pea tendrils and pea shoots kick because they, like our friend the avocado, are so nutritionally dense. It has vitamin C, E, A, and potassium, but it has beta carotene, folate, and vitamin K.
Is there a difference between a pea shoot and a pea tendril? Are they the same thing, just different words?
The pea tendril is the top part of the plant. The pea shoots are the leaves, but then the pea tendrils are like the little vines, if you will.
Okay.
But they essentially look the same.
And are they also kind of like a sprout?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so I think that they started getting the microgreens started getting popular in or maybe introduced in the late 80s in California. And then they were marketed more towards the chefs because they're just a really nice garnish. And imagine they've got microgreen basil, wasabi, and just so you add just this little bit of flavor to it. Pea shoots are the tendrils. I've been tossing with pasta, some lemon and Reggiano cheese and olive oil, and boom, there you have it, some salt and pepper. And then I do throw some peas in there.
That sounds great. And that's it. Just the pasta, the pea shoots, tendrils, and real peas, and a little cheese if you want some cheese and olive oil.
Yeah, I don't even really do garlic on that. I boil the pasta, save some water back, and kind of make an emulsion of the olive oil and the lemon, and then the cheese, and it's just a flavorful. It's nice in the springtime or even in the summertime that when I feel like I want pasta, but I just don't want a heavy red sauce.
Yeah, that's a great alternative to like a pesto or an Alfredo. Not as heavy and oily, it sounds like.
I think that it's the snow peas. I think that's what
That's what they're
the
using
plant
most.
of, and I just throw them with like English peas.
Okay, so you're saying that most of the pea shoots and tendrils you'll find are coming from the snow pea plant.
Yes, that's what I understand, but I don't think anybody really cares in terms of. No, I think that like it's because it's not English peas.
Right.
I don't think you say like, oh, well, I can't eat that, or it wouldn't go with that.
No, I guess when it's at that size, like you say, they don't care because it's really the shoot and the sprout that they're after, not the.
And it's an interesting taste because it's a cross between peas and spinach. So it's just nice to add with some.
Right. What else about pea tendrils do you have for us today, Cynthia? Anything else?
I think that's about wraps it up. It's hot or cold. You could put on anything.
Yeah. It's great. I don't think I've ever eaten pea shoots or tendrils that I remember. I may have gotten them in a restaurant somewhere, but I certainly haven't cooked them at home or prepared them at home. But that sounds great. Sounds like they're nutritionally packed. So anyway, okay, thank you. So, Produce Buzzers podcast listeners, it's time for our mystery fruit or veggie of the day quiz challenge. We're going to ask our Produce Buzzers some questions, see if they can figure out what the mystery fruit or vegetable of the day is. So, Produce Buzzers, are you ready? think you're going to
Ready.
be able to get the answer before I give it to you? I don't know. I'm going to try to make it a little easier. I think you'll get it before I give the answer, but the first few questions will be maybe a little difficult. First of all, this mystery fruit or veggie, the name for it is derived from a region in the ancient Greeks called Karasus, which is today in Turkey. And by the way, Turkey is the largest producer of this fruit or vegetable. The Greeks believed that this mystery fruit or vegetable contained the elixir which gave the gods their immortality. So it must be a delicious fruit or vegetable. It doesn't grow in tropical regions because it requires a certain amount of time of dormancy. That is cold weather, of course. So that should give you some hints as to narrowing it down to what this fruit or veggie may be. And this will probably narrate a little further. It grows on a tree, which you probably already guessed from that previous clue. You want to take any guesses?
Fig.
A fig?
Uh-huh.
It's not a fig, but that was a good guess considering, it's in Greece. Greece, they grew a lot of figs for sure.
How about dates?
Dates? No, it's not a date. I think both dates and figs grow in tropical regions, though, don't they? I don't know.
Yeah, palm trees.
Yeah.
Well, dates have to be in a hot climate, and they have to have a lot of water. So
course.
there are places that they can grow them commercially.
Yet Coachella again.
Yeah.
Right. That's a big place.
They require like 320 days worth of sun.
Wow.
Per year, plus unlimited water supply.
That's amazing. So it's amazing they ever grew at all, isn't it? Because to find those conditions, 300 days of sunshine means you're usually in a desert somewhere with no water.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I don't think it's a pomegranate, is it?
No, another good guess. But considering, again, you think of that Greece and the Mediterranean era, those are all fruits that come from that region. So those are all good guesses. But it's not. Today's mystery fruit or veggie is a drupe. D-R-U-P-E.
Oh, darn, I should have known that.
Oh my goodness.
It's not the fruit. That's not the name of the fruit. That's a classification.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
A drupe. Yeah.
Okay.
An olive.
An olive? Sorry. Another good guess, though.
Is it like some kind of a tree fruit? Like
it is.
Are there more clues?
There are
that you
more
have?
clues. It's in the genus Prunus.
Oh.
Oh, how about plums?
Very good guess, but no, sorry. I knew that one would trip you up a bit. But you're back to the tree fruit. It is a tree fruit, and a drupe is any kind of stone fruit. So you're getting close, but it's not a plum.
Okay, what else?
It is
Peaches,
one of the
plums,
first fruits to
nectarine.
flower and bear fruit in North America.
A cherry.
Very good. You got it. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, the next clue was going to be Japan and Washington, D.C. are famous for the flowers of this tree.
Cherry blossom, yes.
Yeah, but those cherry trees don't bear cherries, actually. So the ones that they have in Washington, D.C. and Japan are just ornamental. But I threw that clue in because I thought by that point you'd get it. So the cherries are thought to have originated in north central Turkey, on the south edge of the Black Sea. And that area that the Greeks called Karasus is today called Giresun, Turkey. So you can see kind of the origin. The name is very similar. They are first mentioned in writing by the Greeks. A An author by the name of Theophrastus wrote about them in a book he called The History of Plants. And I think we've got to look that book up and see what else they wrote about there. That sounds like an interesting book. That was around 300 BC. But humans have been eating them since the Stone Age. Cherry pits have been found in caves all over Europe and Asia where prehistoric humans dwelled. A Roman general named Lucullus first brought them to Rome and began to cultivate them in the 1st century BC. And he helped to spread them around the empire. Roman soldiers were given cherries as part of their rations. They loved them so much, it was almost like a payment, but it was part of their rations. And perhaps inadvertently, they helped to spread them all over Europe. Because as they traveled all over the empire, when they ate them, they'd spit the seeds out. So it was said that if you wanted to know where the old ancient Roman roads were, just look for cherry trees, because they were all along those roads. And speaking of spitting out cherry pits, Eau Claire, Michigan holds a cherry pit spitting contest every year. Do you know what the world record for spitting a cherry seed is? How many feet?
65 feet.
That's a pretty good guess. Nope.
100 feet.
Well, that's exactly right. Now, there's 2 categories for cherry spitting. The one where you just stand and spit, a man named Brian Krause holds the record for 93 feet. But they have a freestyle event where you can get a running start and then spit. And the same man, Brian Krause, has the record there for exactly 100 feet. So very good, Teresa.
All right.
Could you imagine if I did that? I'd be like running. Oh my gosh. And you know what an amazing contest. You know, we're chalking right up with like the Nathan's hot dog gorging yourself. I mean, just
Yeah, that's so gross. I can't
even watch it. I can't watch it.
Terrible.
Did they say what the wind speed was?
There's probably an indoor. There's probably an indoor event and an outdoor event.
I don't see how it's physically possible to spit something that far.
That's a long way. But apparently his family is like the New England Patriots dynasty of cherry spitting. His family has had the records for many, many years and always wins the contest. So. He's the latest in a dynasty.
Yeah.
I guess it's more like the Mannings in football, Peyton Manning and those guys. Because
Not quite as lucrative, however.
That's true.
There are all kinds of weird contests that you can get into.
Well, speaking of world records, how big do you think the world's record is for a cherry? How big a cherry? In circumference and weight in grams.
5 pounds.
No, that would
I'd
be
say
huge.
3 inches in,
Yeah.
3 inches in diameter and 3 ounces. I don't know.
No, sorry. So the world record for the largest cherry ever grown is 5 inches in circumference, not diameter, and it weighed 33 grams. It was about the size of an apricot. So if you can imagine an average size apricot as a cherry, that would be pretty impressive. Doesn't sound that huge. Like Teresa said, 5 pounds. That would be really remarkable. But
I'm thinking of those big old pumpkins that you can sit on.
The world's largest cherry was grown just this year in July by Italian farmers. And Italy is the largest producer of cherries in Europe. Turkey grows the most. The United States grows the second most cherries in the world. But Iran is third, Italy is fourth, and Spain is fifth.
Yeah.
Well, there are two main types of cherries. There's the sweet cherries and there's tart cherries. There's over 1,200 different varieties of cherries that they are aware of, but they break them into two different types, sweet and tart. And Washington State is the largest producer of sweet cherries. California is number 2, and Oregon is number 3. But tart cherries, where do you think tart cherries are mostly grown?
Michigan?
Bingo, yeah, Michigan's number 1.
Bing.
That's the kind they use in pie filling, right?
Yeah, they're mostly for cooking and canning. You have to add some sugar to them. I think they're pretty tart to eat. I don't know that I've ever had just a fresh tart cherry, but
Oh, they're excellent.
are they?
My brother-in-law, his wife is from Michigan, and they used to go and pick them every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but once you put them into a pie, then everything else, they could still be tart, right?
That's right.
Well, I think that's why they like them for cooking, is they can control the sweetness a bit more, and I think they hold their shape better.
Sure.
Traverse City, Michigan, calls itself the cherry capital of the world. But up until 1950, another state was the largest producer of tart cherries in the country, and they produced 95% of the tart cherries the country had. Any guesses?
Wow, that's a hard one there.
New York.
1950.
Up to the 1950s, they were producing almost all of the tart cherries. It's very close to you.
Georgia.
That's a good surprise guess, but that would really be surprised, I think. I'm sure they grow cherries in Georgia in some places, but
Virginia?
no, it's very close to where you live now, Rick.
I guess it's Wisconsin then.
Wisconsin, yeah. They still are number 2 or 3 on the tart cherries. They still grow a lot of them, but Michigan has overtaken them since the 1950s. But up until then, they grew 95% of the cherries, which is amazing.
Wow.
How many cherries does the average cherry tree produce?
Boy. 1,000.
Nope. A bit more. Not a bit more, actually quite a bit more, but
Maybe.
10,000.
not that
10,000.
many. 7,000.
Okay.
5,000.
Good guess.
You mean in one season or in a lifetime?
In a season.
Okay.
7,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7,000.
And do you know how they're harvested?
A machine that shakes the tree.
That's right, yeah. But that shaking of the tree, on average, shortens the life of a cherry tree by 7 years. But it's still more, I guess they used to hand pick them at some point. That would be a lot
Like
more.
blueberries.
I'm sure losing 7 years on a tree is more economical than having them picked.
It's either 7 years on the tree or 7 years on me. I'll take the.
Well,
Yeah.
that's all the news from Cherryland. Well, except the cherries are, as you already, I'm sure, guessed, very nutritional. They're not as loaded as some things, but lots of antioxidants, of course, you would probably guess, and vitamin C, very high in vitamin C's and potassium and manganese. So, and they're, relatively low calorie for such a sweet fruit. So it's a great snack. Spit them out as you go and make some cherry orchards. So let's see if you can get past
You
that.
hear people talking about consuming cherry juice and cherries for gout. So there are probably certain
Yes. I did see
illnesses
that
that
as a
they go for.
potential health benefit is for treating gout.
yeah.
So
And they really tout the tart cherries for that as opposed to the sweet ones.
Well, that was fun, Produce Buzzers. Thanks for participating. You did well. Made some good guesses, got some right answers, and we had fun. But that's all the time we have for today. So, thank you, listeners, for tuning in to the Produce Buzzers podcast, brought to you by Produce Buzz, the gathering place for lovers of fresh fruits and veggies. We hope you were entertained a bit and educated a lot about fresh produce. Be sure to join us next time, and please tell your friends to do so as well. Like, share, and comment on our Produce Buzz Facebook page. And check out our website at www.producebuzz.com. There you will find articles about fresh fruits and veggies, how to select, store, and prepare them, as well as lots of interesting facts about all the wonderful bounty the earth provides for us. Until next time, be fruitful and don't forget to veg out.